So it was considered very good or hyper successful for a team of five to do a feature release once a week, every week. And it created this amazing momentum for Sunbasket, OpenTable, the companies I've been at. So whatever the cost of that is, headcount, it's like $50,000 a month, but you're getting four features a month for 50, 60, $70,000. I can now do that by myself with AI in about 5 hours. I can now produce an entire feature, bottom design, coding, front, back, database, PM, QA, all in a day. So it's now about a feature a day instead of a team of five. It's a team of one. So it's about 25x. I would say that now that I'm using AI and partnering with AI, I can be I'm 5 times more effective than a team of five, and I do it in a fifth of the time. So that's it's two different dimensions there, but it's basically
Mhm.
25x.
Hi, welcome to your next tech startup. I'm host Isabel Rasmussen. Today I have on guest Matt, who has been the founding engineer at multiple startups and now has been founding his own startups. And we're going to have a conversation with him about kind of what tech was like as a founding engineer early in his career and how AI is impacting how he's thinking about being a founder now. Matt, can
Okay.
you give a little intro?
Thank you for that warm welcome. My name is Matthew O'Mara. I've been in software since the mid 90s. I joined OpenTable and was engineer number two back in 1999. It's sort of like having a hit record when you take ownership of a product and bring it to market and grow it from zero valuation to, I think, OpenTable eventually became a $2 billion valuation company. Tremendous early experience and luck. You have to have a bit of luck to stumble upon the right person, the right founder with the right idea. If you've got the chops, then you can lend your skills and help create something. Since then, I've helped start 6 or 7 more startups in the last 25 years. What's nice about software is you can work in any space. You can work in restaurant space and then pivot, and all of a sudden you're in the TV and radio space. It's a nice generic skill that you can apply to many verticals.
When we were first talking about OpenTable, the story that you told about how they handled hiring when you first joined was
Yeah.
fascinating to hear. So I would love you
Yeah.
just to kind of talk a little bit about what that was like and kind of what the energy was.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's mildly embarrassing for me, but I think it's actually honestly mildly embarrassing for the entire industry back then in 99, 2000. So that was the height of the dot-com boom. And I had a smallish team. I had probably 3 to 4 engineers who were really doing all of the work, building the front end and the back end. The founder, Chuck, came to me and said, "Hey, the investors are worried because your team's too small." And so they said, "You need to hire." And the mantra back in 99 was, if you're not burning money fast enough, you're not serious. You're not a serious company. You need to have, they were actually measuring the likelihood of success based on the burn rate. And if your engineering department was only spending 50K a month or, 100K a month, you're too small, you're not serious, you're going to lose to bigger teams. And a lot of that, there's so much wrapped up in that one little vignette. It was crazy. It was a madness. Like, people were just throwing money at dot coms left and right, and dot coms were spending it very, very poorly.
You're just hiring people for the sake of hiring people. And it's funny because in 1999, I was waiting tables and we were using OpenTable.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
And I always think of if I had just known to go into tech recruiting back then, I'm like, my God, my life would have been so much easier to hire in that market than it is in this market. So,
Yeah.
and I'd probably been able to buy a house in San Francisco back then. But, so, okay, so let's fast forward
Yeah.
to 2021 was when you founded it,
Cents. Yeah, 2 cents. Yeah.
2 cents, yeah, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and got some funding.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I had a couple startups, and then in my personal life, I was raising 2 kids all the way from 90 or late 90s until now. And now they're young adults, and so for me personally, being the founder and sitting in chair number one, being the CEO, it's a different level. And I think I wasn't able to ever take that risk in my life, be in chair number one, take a small salary, take on all that risk because I had to, take care of my family first. And so finally in 2021, I raised a few $1 million from a couple of investors and launched a product in the email space and in the business communication space. And I think I raised capital right at the end of 2022, 2 million. And that was right at the end of it being easy to raise money because
Yeah.
2023 had the correction in SaaS. I think SaaS companies lost 60 or 70% of their value that year. And then at the end of that year, you had the kicker of AI coming online, sort of changing the whole landscape for everyone. And so, but yeah,
And so you'd gotten the
using.
funding, you made a few hires, and
Hmm.
um, and then when we were talking about kind of how you'd gotten the funding at that point, and now reflecting on it, you spent money on things that,
Yeah,
just a few years later, that
yeah,
you realize that you don't actually need to spend money on anymore in regards to hiring. And so talk to
very
me a
true.
little bit
Yeah.
about what you did then versus what you would do now based on the use of AI.
Yeah, yeah. So they, 4 years ago, I did what muscle memory. I did what I know how to do, which is I have a couple key lead, strong people. I had someone who's very good at product. I had someone who's very good at design. I had a few engineers that are, kind of what I would call master carpenters. You don't always want to hire a bunch of architects because that they overthink things. It's really good in startups to have people that build fast and build professionally well,
Yeah.
but don't overthink things. And so, I think I grew
Never
the
heard
team
that
out to
master
maybe
carpenter, but that makes a lot of sense.
a master carpenter. Yeah, they just get stuff done, right? Like they don't sort of do the ivory tower, sit and think and produce. I did what I thought I should do. We had a smart idea, we had really good resources, but my burn rate was high. I think at one point I'm spending 120K a month on a startup that has yet to realize any revenue. In retrospect, you kick yourself. You're like, oh, I wish I hadn't burned so hot. I wish I hadn't leaned into the opportunity so hard so fast because that made me use my capital too quickly. It became very difficult to raise the following year because you needed to have a strong AI story.
Mhm.
Or just in general, everyone's been concerned about the big picture and what's happening with our economy. So in the last 5 months, I've had a strong pivot, which is I'm helping start a new company. I'm acting CTO. I would say I'm doing all the coding for it. We're engineering department of one, just me.
Yeah.
I'm actually not doing the coding. I'm using AI to code. And so, which is
And
just crazy.
what are
Go
you
ahead.
mainly using?
I'm using Claude Anthropic at the moment.
Okay.
I've tried a few others, but I just sort of found my home with Claude. And I started feeding it a few challenges when we started working on the company in September.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, it was producing very, very good code within 20 seconds, within 40 seconds. And I realized, like, oh, why am I coding? Why am I trying to invent the wheel when the wheel's right here? This engine can code better than me, follow my cue, and over the last 5 months, I've completely transformed how I work, what it means to work, what I need from other people. And so,
And
some
I'm
concrete examples. Go ahead. So
Yeah, what you're accomplishing right now, what would you say that would have cost you 3 years ago?
it's definitely, so I've always enjoyed running really fast teams. Like at Sunbasket, we would release a feature a week. And this is probably a team of five, QA, product, design, coding, and back-end coding. So a team of five people in those roles and I was leaning on them, and they would produce a feature a week.
Yeah.
And my
And
CEO was pleased. He's like, "Holy moly, I've never seen a team move this fast." But
yeah,
that
and I
was a
think
team
that's
of
a
five
great thing.
people. Go
So
ahead.
that's a great thing to call out is that like you're able to do what you're doing now because you know how like you have decades of experience being incredibly successful in startups. So like
Yeah.
someone else that doesn't have that expertise that you have isn't going to be able to achieve the same results as quickly. I mean, not you're not exactly saying that, but I think it is
Yeah.
something that is some people's reality
So
for a week with a team of 5.
it was considered very good or hyper successful for a team of five to do a feature release once a week, every week. And it created this amazing momentum for Sunbasket, OpenTable, the companies I've been at. So whatever the cost of that is, headcount, it's like $50,000 a month, but you're getting four features a month for 50, 60, $70,000. I can now do that by myself with AI in about 5 hours. I can now produce an entire feature, bottom design, coding, front, back, database, PM, QA, all in a day. So it's now about a feature a day instead of a team of five. It's a team of one. So it's about 25x. I would say that now that I'm using AI and partnering with AI, I can be I'm 5 times more effective than a team of five, and I do it in a fifth of the time. So that's it's two different dimensions there, but it's basically
Mhm.
25x. And so part of what's interesting is like I'm not good at DevOps. I've never really enjoyed being on the server. I don't like all the command line stuff, and so I've always had to hire someone to help with DevOps and site reliability and site management. I actually find that AI can answer all those questions for me now and recommend and actually help me take care of it in a pretty efficient amount of time. And so I no longer really need someone in the DevOps chair. And then when it comes to the back end coding and the plumbing coding, AI can do all of the coding for me. My role now is I'm no longer a coder. I know what's happening and I know how to fix things if they go off course. But I'm more or less a product manager asking for what I want and then a QA. And so the two hats I'm wearing are PM and QA, but I know how to code and I know when AI is like hallucinating or kind of going in the wrong direction, and I can course correct for it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's just really interesting to hear your perspective because you've been in the space for a lot longer than probably most people who are going to listen to this. And not only have you been in the space, you've maintained staying in the startup space and you've been at startups that succeeded. I think you're coming from such a unique perspective and to be able to kind of see what's happening and be utilizing it in how you work today. And I think that perspective is just one that a lot of younger people and older engineers are going to, I
yeah.
hope, listen to and kind of rethink things. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.